You guys have been asking me, what are other ways to preserve tomatoes? What if you don't want to can? What if you don't want to pressure can? Totally get it. You can just freeze them. But this isn't just about freezing. This is really just about the way to quickly get skins off of tomatoes. Skinning tomatoes is not fun. No one wants to sit there and peel a tomato slowly. I actually think that's torture, so that just isn't worth it. So boiling water method, a lot of people know. A lot of people just dip them in boiling water. Even that to me takes a little bit too much time, especially if you're doing a whole batch of salsa and you want to skin all the tomatoes, which I know some people don't skin them for salsa, but guys, no, I skin my tomatoes. But to get them ready before I peel them or skin them is I cut off that core and make sure to get it out of there. So you're here just checking to make sure that there's no blemishes that you need to cut out or something really bad. Some people make an X on the bottom. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. That will just help that hot water penetrate a little bit better. But these are just washed, freshly picked from the garden about 30 minutes ago. These are big mortgage lifter ones, I believe. Now, some people also like to get that white out of there. I leave it until after I've peeled them and then I'm gonna cut them up. So I just kind of wait a little bit. But when there is some browning like this one, I will cut that out because sometimes that can be hard to find or remember once you're actually going through the peeling process with them. So on the stove, I have a big pot of boiling water. It takes a lot of water because you want them to be somewhat covered when you go to actually peel them. So I'm just taking out all these core, which on these big mortgage lifter, they have massive cores. And I'm very generous with it because I feel like the kind of the heavy part of it and the woody part gets really down in there sometimes. So I think it's a good idea to make sure you get it all out, especially depending on what you're making, because you don't want any pieces of core in your sauces or your salsas, or even if you're gonna freeze these. Which freezing to me, when I'm at the end of a season, after I've done all my canning, I have my sauces and everything made, but I still have beautiful tomatoes, I oftentimes will do this process and then just freeze them because it's such a great way to preserve them. And it's so much easier. You don't have to do anything really with them, and that's wonderful. As you can see, I'm setting these in a dish tub. It's nothing pretty, but I want something that I don't care about, that I can pour boiling water into, that they'll be somewhat submerged in, because that's just gonna make it easier. So I'm gonna finish doing these, then we're gonna take them over to the sink and get ready to pour some boiling water on them. My water's boiling, let me turn it off. You can see down here in the sink, I have my tub that I'm gonna pour the boiling water into. I have my discarded things here that I can then start seeding and taking the peels off for. So I just do a big kettle on the stove because it takes quite a bit of boiling water to get these things mostly covered. I pour it right over the top. And this is why you just want a tub you don't really care about, because you just want to be able to do whatever you want to it. Now, a lot of you are gonna be like, why is this easier than just slowly putting one into boiling water? When you have to like lay them into boiling water with a slotted spoon, then take them out, it's just kind of a tedious process and takes more time. This doesn't really, some people think, oh no, it's gonna be in boiling water too long, it's gonna cook them. It's not. It's gonna soften that skin. I'm gonna let them sit for like 30 seconds here to a minute, sometimes a little bit more, it all depends on the type of tomato. And then I'm just gonna start checking them. If the top ones aren't fully submerged, sometimes I just turn them over and make sure they're all getting in that hot water, because that's literally what's just gonna help them completely peel off. So we're gonna let them sit here just for about another minute, and then you're gonna see why this is the best way to peel, especially if you're doing a large batch of them. Come back, you'll see. Okay, so now we're gonna start checking them. I get a little bit of cool water running, just like a nice little trickle. And then we're gonna start taking up some of them, and we're just gonna check them. So yes, they're hot, obviously. So you can use a spoon or something if you need to. I run a little bit of cold water, and then I just start, look at that. The peel is just coming right off. That's why I like to have my discard bowl like right beside me, because this is kind of like, okay, did you guys see me do beets? If not, you should. Pickled beets are delicious, but that's not the point. You do the same thing. So you cook the beets and then the skin just falls off like this. And you can see I can pretty much just do it even with my hand. Sometimes on these ones that are like mortgage lifters like this, that are really big and bulbous, they start, the little crevices can be hard, so you'll still have to use your knife to get in there. But as you can see, that skin just comes off. Get in those cracks. Perfectly peeled tomato, friends. That's just what we want more of in this world. Something that just works perfectly, and this does every time. Now, if I was eating these, no, I would eat the skins. Why? Fiber, okay? Fruit and vegetables, their skin is good and healthy. I mean, except for things like, you know, that you wouldn't eat, bananas. I'm not gonna eat that skin. I'm sure there's health benefits of it, but I'm just not doing that. Okay, I'm gonna finish doing this and then show you how I finish them up, clean them up, and then you can preserve them. Okay, so these are all peeled, which if you're worried that they're gonna sit in the water too long, once you realize that a couple are done, the whole batch is ready, you can dump out the hot water, pour some cold water on it so they don't cook anymore. And the more ripe they are, the quicker it will go too. They won't need that much hot water time because they're so ripe. So when I preserve them, whether I'm gonna freeze them at this point, make them into salsa, whatever it is, especially on these big ones, I cut them into pieces first. And then I like to go through and get a lot of those seeds out. There's a couple reasons. They don't necessarily add a lot to flavor, but they do add just a lot of water and liquid to whatever you're gonna use them for. And I don't like that. I like to get a lot of that excess water out, so I just have the tomato, which is what I like. Now, if my mom was here, she would make sure, which I've now kind of ended up doing, that any of the white pithy stuff you get out too, because it doesn't really cook down, so depending what you use it in, you just end up having floaties of white pithy stuff. But you can see it kind of mutilates them, but then at this point you can decide. So if you're going to say freeze them and you use them mostly in soups or in sauces, you can crush them with your hand, you can dice them up, you can put them through a food processor and have more of a juice. Then you can just put them in containers and freeze them. That's how easy it is. You don't have to put anything with them, which is kind of the glory of freezing. Unlike preserving, where you're gonna try to make something shelf stable and you usually need either a salt or something that's gonna help that process, when you freeze, you don't need that at all. So you can just pack them into a container that's airtight, reusable, throw them in your freezer, and then get them out on a winter day, and they're gonna taste amazing. They're gonna look fresh, and they're gonna be a lot easier than anything else. So to me, that's the easiest. Like, if you're not a huge preserver, or if you're just not in the mood to can, freeze. For these, for me, I'm gonna, from this point, then make salsa with them. So once I get all this done with them, I'm gonna dice them up and then use them in my salsa recipe, which yes, I will be showing you. You've been asking for it, and I'm gonna definitely show you, because salsa's delicious, and who doesn't want some fresh salsa just sitting on their shelves so they can use it whenever they want? At this point, you guys have seen everything you need to know on how to peel tomatoes in a large quantity. At this point, take them, put them in the freezer. This is really the best way. Like, if you want something quick and want a quick way to preserve, this is the way to do it. Peel them, seed them if you want to, crush them, chop them up, whatever you do to like to use them, throw them in the freezer. Or like me, I'm gonna now take these and make salsa. I love to hear how you guys like these videos, because that's what helps me decide what videos I'm gonna make. Because yes, the salsa one's coming. So keep it coming, keep sharing them around, letting everyone know all these things that hopefully help them do things that they couldn't do before, because that's the point. I want to help you feel empowered to be able to can, to freeze, to preserve, to garden, just to live life better. That's what it is. So I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna make salsa. You go out, get some tomatoes, and just start doing something with them.